My name is Rodney Barnes. 30 years is a long time to give to one place, but that is how long I worked for Warner Manufacturing, just outside Cleveland, Ohio. 30 years of early mornings, overtime whenever they needed it, and showing up even when I did not feel like it. So when they threw me a retirement party in the main conference room, I figured I had earned it. The place was packed. Coworkers from every department, some men I had trained 2 decades ago, a couple of supervisors who looked like they had been forced to come but still shook my hand. Even the plant manager, Mr. Collins, showed up in his predictable Navy suit. My older brother Marvin was there with his wife, a few neighbors from down the block, people I had helped move furniture or jump a car battery over the years. The cake had my name on it in blue frosting. Congratulations, Rodney, curling across the top. Someone had hung a banner that said, "Happy Retirement," across the back wall near the windows that overlooked the parking lot. I was standing near the refreshment table talking to Daryl from shipping about his new truck when I saw her walk in. Yolanda, my wife of 26 years, stepped into the room like she was walking onto a stage. She was wearing that deep navy dress she usually saved for weddings and funerals, heels clicking on the conference room floor, and she was carrying a manila folder pressed flat against her chest. Something about the way she moved through the crowd made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. She was not angry. She was not crying. She looked determined, focused. Yolanda walked straight toward me, did not say hello to anyone, did not smile or hug Marvin, who had started to raise his hand to wave. She stopped about 3 feet away from me, held the folder out at chest level, and said, in a voice that carried here, "What is this?" I asked. The conversations around us had started to soften, like someone had turned a dial on the room. Daryl slowly stopped talking about torque and highway mileage and glanced between the two of us. Yolanda lifted her chin slightly, like she was making sure everyone was within earshot. "Divorce papers," she said. She said it loud enough that Daryl stopped mid-sentence. Loud enough that the conversations around us did more than soften. They started dying down altogether. The laughter from the far corner cut off. Chairs creaked. Somebody near the cake table whispered, "Oh, wow," under their breath. A woman by the door already had her phone out, holding it like she was pretending not to record. I looked at the folder, then at Yolanda. "You are serving me divorce papers at my retirement party," I said. My voice sounded calm in my own ears, almost detached, like I was talking about a meeting agenda instead of my marriage. "I am," she said. She pushed the folder closer to my chest. "Everything is already filled out. You just need to sign." The room had gone completely quiet now, except for the low hum of the air conditioner. I could feel every pair of eyes in the room on us. Even the plant manager had stopped pretending to scroll his phone. Someone near the cake shifted their weight, the paper plate in their hand crinkling loud in the silence. I opened the folder. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Her signature was already on the bottom of page 3, the ink slightly smudged where she had pressed hard. My hands were steady as I flipped through the pages. Property division, spousal support, a schedule for dividing household items. Every line of it laid out like she had been planning this for months. Probably because she had. "Got a pen?" I asked. A couple of people actually flinched at that, like they expected me to shout instead. Yolanda pulled a pen from her purse with a tight, efficient motion. She held it out. I took it, found the signature lines, and signed every single page that needed my name. I did not read the fine print. I did not argue. I did not ask her why. I just signed my name in blue ink while about 25 people watched in complete silence. By the 3rd page, I could hear someone in the back mutter, "He is really doing it." On the 4th page, Marvin took a step forward like he might say something, then thought better of it and stood still. When I finished, I closed the folder and handed it back to Yolanda. Then I leaned in close enough that only she could hear me. I could smell her perfume, the same brand she had worn since our 10th anniversary. "You have absolutely no idea what you just did to yourself," I said. I did not say it with anger or with any special emphasis. I said it quietly, calmly, like I was giving her a weather report. I stepped back and turned to Daryl. "You were saying something about the transmission," I said. Daryl's eyes were pinched, somewhere between pity and shock. His mouth opened and closed a couple of times before he stammered, The dealer said the automatic has a different," he never finished. That was when I heard the clapping. My daughter Tracy was standing near the door, actually clapping, slow at first, then faster, a brittle, awkward sound in the quiet room. My son Leon joined in a second later, his hands coming together with more enthusiasm. Both of them were smiling, not wide, but enough that there was no mistaking it. They looked like they had just watched their favorite team win a playoff game. Yolanda picked up the folder, slid the pen back into her purse, and walked out of the room without another word. Tracy and Leon followed right behind her. They did not say goodbye to me. They did not look back. The door closed with a soft click. The room stayed quiet for maybe 10 more seconds. Then the noise came rushing back in, but thinner, more strained. Daryl cleared his throat and said something about needing more coffee. Conversation started up again, awkward at first, then gradually picked up to a normal volume. People tried to talk about sports and vacation plans, but their eyes kept sliding back to me. My supervisor, Angela, came over and asked me if I was all right. I told her I was fine, and I meant it. I stayed for another hour. I ate a piece of the cake with my name on it, and accepted a plaque with my years of service engraved in gold. Mr. Collins shook my hand and said, "We will miss your reliability, Rodney." A few people avoided my eyes. A few others squeezed my shoulder a little too hard, as if pressure could take the place of words. When the party finally wrapped up around 8, I carried my plaque and a box with some retirement gifts out to my truck. The early evening air felt cooler than it should have for June in Ohio. I drove home along the same route I had taken after late shifts for years, stopping at the same red lights, passing the same gas station with its flickering sign. I pulled into the driveway of the house I had been living in for 18 years. Yolanda's car was not there. The porch light was on, though, like it always was when one of us was out after dark. Inside, the house smelled faintly of lemon cleaner, like someone had done a quick sweep trying to leave everything neat. Most of Yolanda's clothes were gone from the closet. On her side, wire hangers swung loosely where her dresses had been. She had taken the good coffee maker that she liked to show off when company came over, and her grandmother's china from the dining room cabinet. But she had left all the furniture. The bed was still there. The sofa. The old recliner I liked. I sat down on the couch and looked around the living room. The television was still there, balanced on the stand we had bought on sale our first year in the house. The bookshelf I had built from a kid on one of my rare free weekends was bolted to the wall, still full of Yolanda's mystery novels and my collection of baseball biographies. The rug we bought at that flea market in Pennsylvania was crooked, like someone had dragged a box across it. My phone buzzed. A text from Marvin. "You okay?" That was intense. I stared at the screen for a moment, thinking about what okay even meant right then. Finally, I typed back, "I am good. Talk tomorrow." Then I set the phone face down on the coffee table and just sat there in the quiet house. I was not angry. I was not hurt in the way people probably expected. I was thinking about that folder she had handed me and all the pages she had filled out and the signature she had already gotten from her lawyer. Yolanda thought she had planned everything, every detail, every contingency. She had not. 3 months, I thought. That was all it would take for her to understand what I meant when I whispered those words at my own retirement party. The first week after the party, I did not hear from Yolanda at all. No calls, no texts, no email. I figured she was busy celebrating her newfound freedom with whoever had convinced her that humiliating me in public was a bold, empowering move. I kept my routine simple. Coffee at 6, breakfast by 7. 30 years of waking up early for work did not disappear overnight. On Tuesday morning, I drove to the bank. Not the branch Yolanda liked, where she knew all the tellers by name and chatted about their children. I went to the one across town, near the big hardware store and a strip mall with a discount shoe place. I had an appointment with a banker named Alicia. She was maybe 30 years old, a neat bun at the back of her head, eyes that took everything in at once. "How can I help you today, Mr. Barnes?" she asked, fingers already hovering over the keyboard. The screen reflected faint green in her glasses. "I need to make some changes to my accounts," I told her. My voice sounded steady, normal. It felt almost like I was ordering new checks or asking a question about interest rates. Alicia clicked a few times and said, "I see you have a joint checking account with Yolanda Barnes and a savings account in your name only." "That is correct." I nodded. "That is correct." She tilted her head slightly. "What changes did you want to make?" I folded my hands on the edge of her desk. "I want to open a new checking account just in my name. I need to transfer funds from the joint account before the divorce is finalized." Alicia did not flinch. She nodded like she had heard this same sentence every day for the last 5 years. "How much are we transferring?" she asked. Half of what is in there, I said, to the penny. She typed for a minute, her nails clicking softly on the keys. Then she looked up. Mr. Barnes, I am showing a balance of $8,462 in the joint account. You are entitled to withdraw your half, which would be $4,231. That will work, I said. She walked me through a few forms, explained the new account, and asked if I wanted checks or just a debit card. The whole process took maybe 20 minutes. New account created, transfer complete, debit card ordered. I walked out with a temporary card, a folder of paperwork, and a receipt showing my new balance printed in black ink. That afternoon, I went to see a lawyer. Not one of the expensive attorneys downtown with glass offices and assistants who bring coffee in real china cups. This lawyer's office was above a pizza place on Jefferson Avenue. The sign on the door said Calvin Hopkins, attorney at law, in simple black letters. Marvin had used him for his will and said he was straightforward. Inside, the office smelled like coffee and old paper and faint tomato sauce from the restaurant downstairs. Calvin was maybe 50, with gray at his temples and reading glasses on a chain around his neck. He stood up when I came in and shook my hand firmly. Mr. Barnes, he said, Marvin told me you might call. I sat down across from his cluttered desk and set Yolanda's copies of the papers in front of him. Your wife served you at your retirement party, Calvin said after I explained the basics. He flipped the first page over, eyebrows rising as he read. That is cold. I shrugged. It was efficient, I said. She likes making statements. He put on his glasses and started going through the pages one by one, lips moving slightly as he read. Did you read these before you signed? He asked after a few minutes. Not carefully, I admitted. I looked at the headings. I saw where to sign. That was enough. Calvin kept reading. After about 10 minutes, he sat back in his chair, tapped the edge of the papers against his desk, and said, Well, she is asking for spousal support. I figured, I said. Based on what is listed here for your income and assets, Calvin went on, she is probably expecting around $2,000 a month. Maybe more if she thinks she can argue lifestyle maintenance. I nodded slowly. That seems high. Calvin shrugged. It is calculated based on the lifestyle established during the marriage and the difference in your incomes. She worked part-time at that boutique until last year, I said. 15 hours a week, maybe 20 during the holidays. Calvin nodded. Right. The court will look at that and at her ability to work more. But this is what she is asking for. He turned another page, scanned it, and then stopped at page 7. Interesting, he said. What? I asked. He tapped the page. She is claiming the house is marital property and wants it sold, with the proceeds split 50-50. She states here that you have been paying the mortgage for 18 years and that there is about $90,000 in equity. She wants $45,000 of that. I did not say anything. Calvin looked at me over the top of his glasses. Is there something you are not telling me? The house is paid off, I said. I made the final payment 4 months ago. Calvin blinked. The entire mortgage, he asked. Every penny, I said. I took money from my retirement account, paid the early withdrawal penalty, and cleared it. The deed is in my name only because I inherited the down payment from my father, and we set it up that way for tax purposes back in 1999. Calvin set the papers down and laced his fingers together. Does she know this? He asked. She knew we were close to paying it off, I said. I did not think she knew I had already finished. He leaned back in his chair, and I swear I saw the hint of a smile tug at the corner of his mouth. So she is operating under the assumption that there is still a mortgage and that you are both on the deed, he said. That is what it looks like, I said. Calvin let out a slow breath. Mr. Barnes, I think we need to file a response to this petition. A very detailed response. We spent the next hour going through everything. My retirement account that I had rolled over into an individual retirement account the day after I signed the papers at the party. The savings account in my name only that Yolanda apparently did not know had grown to $40,000 over the years. We went line by line through my truck, which I had bought and paid off in my name because Yolanda said it was too big and she did not like driving it. We looked at credit cards, utility bills, and the last few years of tax returns. By the time we were done, the stack of papers on Calvin's desk had doubled in size. He walked me to the door and said, She is going to be very surprised when she sees our response. That is the idea, I said. On the drive home, I stopped at a grocery store and picked up chicken breast, rice, and a bag of frozen vegetables. I made dinner the way I had made it for years. Simple, no extra sauces, nothing fancy. Yolanda always lectured me about red meat and cholesterol. That night, I ate chicken, but I already knew what I would have the next night. My phone rang around 8. Tracy's name was on the screen. I considered letting it go to voicemail, but I answered. "Dad, we need to talk," she said. Her voice had that tight edge it got whenever she believed she was absolutely right about something. "About what?" I asked. "About Mom. About what happened at your party." I stirred the vegetables in the pan. "There is nothing to talk about," I said. "She wanted a divorce. I gave her one." Tracy exhaled sharply. "You did not even try to stop her," she said. "Why would I stop someone who wants to leave?" I asked. There was silence on the other end. I could hear some faint background noise, maybe a television in another room. "Leon, and I just think you could have handled it differently," Tracy said. "You could have asked her why. You could have told her you loved her. You just signed everything. Mom says you're being cold." I turned off the stove and let the pan sit. "Your mother served me divorce papers in front of my coworkers," I said. "And you two clapped." I signed the papers and went home. "That is not cold, Tracy. That is efficient." More silence. "I have to go," I said finally. "My dinner is getting cold." I hung up before she could respond. That night, I sat on the back porch with a beer. Not the light beer Yolanda always bought, because she liked the commercials. The actual beer I liked, the one I never kept in the house because she said it was too heavy. 2 weeks down, I thought. About 11 and a half to go before Yolanda started getting the full picture. Week 3 started with a phone call from Yolanda's lawyer. The caller identification showed an unfamiliar office number. I answer anyway. "Mr. Barnes," a woman's voice rasped. "This is Gloria Holt. I represent your wife in the petition for dissolution." She sounded like she had spent 40 years smoking and raising her voice at people who did not pay their invoices on time. "I got the papers," I said. "Yes," she replied. "Well, we have not yet received a response. The deadline is coming up. My client is anxious to finalize the settlement and move forward." I could almost hear the script in her tone. "My lawyer is handling it," I said. "And who might that be?" she asked. "Calvin Hopkins," I said. There was a small pause on her end. "I see," Gloria said. "Well, please inform Mr. Hopkins that we would like to expedite this process." I almost smiled. "I bet she would," I said. "Excuse me?" Gloria asked. "Nothing," I said. "I will let Calvin know you called." I hung up and texted Calvin. "Yolanda's lawyer called. Wants to speed things up." He texted back 5 minutes later. "Let her wait. Filing our response Friday." That afternoon, I ran into Felicia from Yolanda's book club at the grocery store. She was in the produce section, picking through tomatoes like they were rare antiques. "Oh," she said when she saw me. "Rodney." I picked up a bag of apples and nodded. "Felicia." She put down the tomato she was holding and looked at me with an expression that was half pity, half something else I could not quite name. "I heard about you and Yolanda," she said. "I am so sorry." I shook my head. "Do not be," I said. "It must have been such a shock," Felicia went on. "Not particularly," I said. That seemed to catch her off guard. "Really? But at your party, in front of everyone, it looked—" She trailed off, searching for a word. "She wanted to make a statement," I said. "She made it. Now we are both moving on." Felicia pursed her lips. "Yolanda has been staying with us," she said. "Just until she finds her own place." I nodded. "That is generous of you," I said. "She has been through a lot," Felicia continued. 26 years of marriage, and to have it end like this. I shifted the apples in my hand and put them into my cart. "Felicia," I said, "Yolanda ended the marriage at my retirement party, with papers she had been planning for months. She did not go through anything except exactly what she chose to do." Felicia frowned. "Well," she said, "she told us you two had grown apart, that you did not have any ambition anymore, that you were just going to retire and sit around the house while she still had her whole life ahead of her." "I am 53 years old," I said. "She is 51. We both have our whole lives ahead of us. The difference is I am planning to live mine without someone who serves divorce papers in front of my coworkers." Felicia's face went a little pink. "She said you would be bitter," Felicia said quietly. "I'm not bitter," I said. "I am practical." I started pushing my cart toward the checkout. "Tell Yolanda I hope she finds a nice apartment," I said over my shoulder. "The market is pretty tight right now, but I am sure something will turn up." I did not wait for her response. Friday came, and Calvin filed our response to the divorce petition. He emailed me a copy that afternoon. 12 pages of detailed information about assets, income, and property ownership. Every single thing Yolanda had gotten wrong in her assumptions was laid out in plain language. The house, fully paid off, in my name only. The retirement account properly rolled over and protected. The savings account she did not know about. The truck paid off and titled solely to me. And, most satisfying of all, a counterclaim requesting that she pay her share of the household expenses for the 6 months before she filed, since she had been planning all of this while still living in my house and eating my food. Calvin had also included a very polite paragraph explaining that based on the actual asset division and the fact that Yolanda was perfectly capable of working full-time now that she was divorcing me to pursue her whole life ahead of her, spousal support would not be appropriate. I read it twice, then called him. "It is perfect," I said. "She's going to lose her mind when she sees it." Calvin chuckled. "That is what I am counting on." That weekend, Tracy called again. Sunday afternoon, right when I was replacing the washers in the kitchen faucet. "Dad, Mom is really upset," she said. "About what?" I asked, squinting at the old washer as it dropped into my hand. "About the response you filed," Tracy said. "She says you are hiding money." I rinsed the faucet pieces in the sink and laid them on a towel. "I'm not hiding anything," I said. "Every account, every asset, it is all listed in the response. She just did not know about some of it because she never asked." Tracy sighed. "She says you claim the house is yours," she said. "The house is mine," I replied. "My name is on the deed. I made every mortgage payment. I paid off the final balance 4 months ago." "She said you were trying to cheat her," Tracy said. "She can verify everything with public records if she does not believe me," I said. "But you were married," Tracy protested. "Does that not make a half hers?" I tightened the new washer into place. "Not in this state," I said. "Not when the down payment was my inheritance and the deed was set up in my name from day one. Your mother knew this, Tracy. She just forgot, or she did not think I would remind her." Tracy was silent for a long moment. I could hear her breathing, could imagine her chewing on her thumbnail the way she did when she was a teenager. "She says you were being vindictive," Tracy said finally. I signed the papers she gave me without arguing. I said, "I moved half the joint checking into my own account, which is exactly what I am legally allowed to do. I filed an honest response to her petition. That is not vindictive. That is following the process she started." "Leon thinks you were trying to punish her," Tracy said. I tightened the faucet, turned the water back on, and checked for leaks. Leon clapped when his mother served me divorce papers at my retirement party. I said, "Right now, I do not really care what Leon thinks. I have to go. The faucet is fixed." I hung up before she could answer. That night, I grilled a steak on the back porch. A big one, medium rare, with a baked potato and butter. It was exactly the kind of meal Yolanda would have given me a lecture about. My phone buzzed while I was eating. A text from Marvin. "Heard through the grapevine Yolanda is freaking out about the house." "True," I texted back. "Very true." A minute later, he replied, "You are enjoying this." I looked at the steak on my plate, at the quiet yard, at the sky going pink over the fence. I typed, "I am enjoying my dinner. I am not enjoying what led to this, but I am not apologizing for defending myself." 6 weeks in, the cracks were starting to show. I was at the hardware store picking up sandpaper when I saw Leon in the paint aisle. He was staring at color samples like they might tell him the meaning of life, if he just looked hard enough. He saw me before I could turn around. "Dad," he said. "Leon." I answered. We stood there for a second, neither of us sure what to say. "How have you been?" he asked. "Fine," I said. "You?" He nodded. "Good." "Yes, good." He picked up a paint sample, looked at it without really seeing it, and put it back down. "Tracy said you talked to her last week," he said. "She called me." I replied. "Right." Another pause. "Look, about the party," Leon said. "I did not mean, we did not know you were going to sign everything right there." "What did you think I was going to do?" I asked. He shrugged, his shoulders tight. "Fight it," he said quietly. "Maybe try to talk to Mom. Something." I shook my head. "Your mother handed me divorce papers in front of 25 people," I said. "What exactly was there to talk about?" Leon did not have an answer for that. He shifted his weight, stared at the floor, then said, "She told us you two had been having problems for years. She said you were not the same person she married." Leon went on. That you had given up on everything. I looked at him. And you believed her, I said. She is our mother, he said. I am your father, I replied. You did not think to ask me about it before you started clapping. His face flushed. We thought we were supporting her, he said. She made it seem like this was something she needed to do to be happy. Maybe it was, I said. Maybe she will be very happy divorced. But that does not change the fact that you and Tracy chose a side without knowing what the other side was. I grabbed the sandpaper I needed and started walking toward the register. Leon followed for a few steps. Tracy and I have been talking, he said. We think maybe we judged the situation too fast. I did not respond. At the register, he stopped short. Dad, he said, I am sorry. For the clapping. For not asking. I nodded once. I heard you, I said and walked out. That afternoon, Calvin called. We got a response to our response, he said. That was fast, I replied. Gloria Holt does not waste time, Calvin said. She is claiming the house should be considered marital property regardless of whose name is on the deed, citing the length of the marriage and the contributions Yolanda made to the household. I sat down at the kitchen table. What contributions? I asked. According to this, Calvin said, her part-time income and her management of household affairs constitute significant non-financial contributions that entitle her to half the home equity. I rubbed my forehead. She worked 15 hours a week at a boutique and spent most of her paycheck on clothes, I said. And household management meant she decided what color to paint the bathroom. Calvin chuckled softly. I know, he said, and the judge will know too. But they're going to fight this. Let them fight, I said. It is going to cost you in legal fees, Calvin warned. How much? I asked. Could be a few thousand by the time we are done, he said. Maybe more if it goes to a hearing. I looked around my kitchen, the cabinets I had painted myself, the table I had refinished, the view out the window of my small backyard. Calvin, I said, I have $40,000 in savings and a paid-off house. I think I can afford a few thousand to make sure the facts are clear. He laughed. Fair enough, he said. I will draft our counter. 2 days later, I was getting my oil changed when Tracy texted, Can we meet for coffee? I stared at the message for a moment. Then I typed when. She wrote back immediately. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., that place on 5th Street. I replied, fine. The next morning, I showed up at 10 exactly. Tracy was already there, sitting at a corner table with some drink that had whipped cream and caramel piled on top. I ordered a black coffee and sat down across from her. Thank you for coming, she said. You asked, I replied. She picked at her napkin, tearing little pieces off and rolling them between her fingers. I talked to Leon, she said. He said he ran into you at the hardware store. He did, I said. He said you were pretty upset with us, she said. I was not upset, I said. I was honest. Tracy looked up at me. Her eyes were red around the edges, like she had not slept well. Dad, we did not know what was going on, she said. Mom made it sound like the divorce was mutual, like you both wanted it, but she was the one who made it official. I took a sip of my coffee. And you did not think to call me and ask, I said. She flinched a little. Would you have told us? She asked. I would have told you the truth, I said. That your mother had been acting different for months. That she had been meeting with lawyers. That she was planning to serve me papers at the most public moment she could find to make some kind of point. Tracy swallowed hard. She said you knew it was coming. Tracy murmured. I suspected something was coming, I said. I did not know she would do it at my retirement party with you two there to cheer her on. Tracy's eyes filled with tears. She blinked quickly, trying to keep them from spilling over. We were not cheering for you to get hurt, she said. We were cheering for Mom to finally stand up for herself. Stand up for herself against what? I asked. Against me working 60-hour weeks for 30 years? Against me paying every bill on time? Against me making sure you two had college funds and a roof over your heads? Tracy shook her head. She said you had stopped caring. Tracy said. That you just went to work and came home, and that was it. I went to work and came home and paid for the life your mother said she wanted. I replied. The house she picked out. The vacation she planned. The car she drove. And when I finally retired after 3 decades, she served me divorce papers. Tracy wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She is having a hard time, Dad, she said. I'm sure she is, I said. Mia is getting tired of her staying there. Every apartment, she looks at once first month, last month, and a security deposit. She does not have that kind of money saved. Then she should have thought about that before she filed for divorce, I said. Tracy stared at me. That is cold, she whispered. No, Tracy, I said. Cold is serving your husband divorce papers at his retirement party. Cold is planning it for months without saying a word. Cold is dragging your children into it, so they clap when you humiliate their father in public. I'm not being cold. I am being clear. She did not say anything for a long time. She just sat there staring at her drink, the whipped cream beginning to meld into the coffee. The house thing is true, she asked finally. It is really just in your name? Yes, I said. And you paid it off 4 months ago, she asked. Yes. She swallowed. Does that mean Mom gets nothing? She asked. It means your mother gets exactly what she is entitled to under the law, I said. Half of the joint checking account, which I already gave her access to, and whatever she can prove she contributed financially to the marriage. Her lawyer is trying to argue she should get more. My lawyer is showing why she should not. Tracy stood up. She had not touched her drink. I'm sorry, she said quietly. For what? I asked. For clapping, she said. For not asking your side. For assuming Mom was right about everything. She picked up her purse and walked out before I could respond. I finished my coffee, black and bitter, then drove home to the house that was paid off and in my name. 7 weeks down, 5 to go. 3 months to the day after the retirement party. I was replacing the weather stripping on my front door when a car pulled into the driveway. Not Yolanda's car. A small sedan I did not recognize. Yolanda got out of the passenger side, and Felicia was driving. I kept working on the weather stripping, pressing the rubber into the groove. Yolanda walked up the path and stopped at the bottom of the porch steps. We need to talk, she said. About what? I asked without looking up. About this. She held up a stack of papers clipped together. About what your lawyer is doing. Calvin is doing his job, I said. He is trying to take everything from me, she said. I stood up and wiped my hands on a rag. Calvin is responding to the petition you filed, I said. The one where you try to take half of a house you do not own and claim spousal support from someone you publicly divorced. Felicia had gotten out of the car by then. She stood near the driver's door, arms folded, watching us with a worried expression. Yolanda came up 2 steps. I lived in this house for 18 years, she said. You did, I said. I raised our children here, she said. You did, I agreed. And now you're saying I have no right to any of it, she demanded. I am saying you have the rights the law gives you, I said, which do not include a house that is titled in my name, that I inherited the down payment for, and that I paid every single mortgage payment on for 18 years. We were married, she said. We were, I said. Past tense. You ended that at my retirement party. Remember? Her face flushed. Betty says we can fight this, she said. She says a judge will see you're trying to hide assets. I'm not hiding anything, I said. Every account is listed in the filing. Every asset is documented. You just do not like what the documentation says. You paid off the mortgage without telling me, Yolanda said. I paid off the mortgage 4 months before you served me divorce papers, I said. Papers you have been planning with your lawyer for who knows how long. You want to talk about hiding things? Let's talk about that. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again like she was searching for the right argument and could not find it. I needed to make sure I was protected, I said, and I needed to make sure my house was paid off before I retired. We both got what we needed. You got your divorce. I got my house. Felicia called out softly from the driveway. Yolanda, maybe we should go, she said. Yolanda ignored her. The apartment I found wants $4,000 to move in, she said. First month, last month, deposit, Yolanda went on. I do not have $4,000. You have half of the joint checking, I said. That is over $4,000. I need that for living expenses, she said. Then find a cheaper apartment, I said. There are no cheaper apartments, Yolanda said. Not in areas that are safe. Not that allow pets. You do not have a pet, I pointed out. I'm getting a cat, she said. For a second, I almost laughed. 26 years of marriage. She never wanted a pet because they were too much work. Now she was getting a cat. Yolanda, I said, you filed for divorce. You made that choice. These are the consequences of that choice. I'm not responsible for finding you an apartment or funding your new life. Betty says you are being vindictive, Yolanda said, that you are punishing me for leaving. Gloria is a lawyer, I said. She's supposed to say that. It is her job to fight for you, just like it is Calvin's job to make sure you only get what you are actually entitled to. Yolanda's eyes filled with tears. I gave you 26 years, she said, voice shaking. And I gave you 26 years right back, I said. I paid every bill. I put food on the table. I made sure the children had what they needed. When you decided that was not enough, I signed the papers you handed me without arguing. That is not punishment, Yolanda. That is me accepting what you said you wanted. She was crying now, not dramatic sobbing, just tears sliding down her cheeks. This is not how it was supposed to go, she whispered. How was it supposed to go? I asked. She looked down at the papers in her hand. I was supposed to. She stopped, wiped her eyes. Felicia said I deserved better, that I spent all these years taking care of everyone else, and now it was my turn. She said I could travel, do things I wanted, not just be someone's wife. And you could do all that, I said, as a divorced woman, on your own budget. Yolanda shook her head. You do not understand, she said. Betty said I would get the house money. She said with your retirement and the equity, I would be set up, that I could afford a nice place and still have money left. She said, I raised a hand. Gloria was wrong, I said, or she did not ask the right questions. Either way, that is between you and her. Felicia walked up the path now and put a hand on Yolanda's arm. Come on, she said softly. We should go. Yolanda did not move. She stared at me like she was trying to find the husband she thought she knew in my face and could not. What am I supposed to do? She asked. Get a full-time job, I said. Find an apartment you can afford. Build the life you said you wanted. You are 51 years old and healthy. Figure it out. I cannot believe you are being like this, she said. You served me divorce papers in front of my coworkers, and our children clapped, I said. I signed them and moved on with my life. I am not being anything except done. Felicia gently tugged Yolanda's arm. Yolanda let herself be led back to the car. At the door, she turned around. The children are ashamed of you, she said. You know that. Tracy apologized to me last week, I said. Over coffee. She said she was sorry for clapping and for not asking my side. So if she is ashamed of anyone, I do not think it is me. Yolanda's mouth tightened. She got into the car. Felicia backed out of the driveway faster than she needed to. I went back to the weather stripping. The door still needed to close properly, no matter what else was falling apart. That evening, Leon called. Mom came to see you today, he said. She did, I said. She is really upset, he said. I noticed. He sighed. Dad, she is staying in Felicia's guest room. Her husband is getting annoyed. She needs to find a place. Then she should find a place, I said. She does not have enough money saved up, he said. Leon, I have explained this to Tracy, and I will explain it to you, I said. Your mother chose to end this marriage. She filed the papers. She planned the whole thing. The financial consequences of that choice are hers to deal with. I'm not going to fund her new independent life. But you have the money, he said. The house is paid off. You have savings. And I earn all of it, I said. Every dollar. While your mother worked part-time and spent most of what she earned on herself. I am 53 years old, Leon. I just retired. This is the money I'm going to live on for the rest of my life. I am not giving half of it away because your mother had unrealistic expectations about what divorce would look like. There was silence on the line. She said Gloria is going to file something. Leon said, try to get the judge to make you sell the house anyway. Gloria can file whatever she wants, I said. The house is in my name. The deed proves it. The payment history proves I paid for it. She can argue all she wants, but the law is pretty clear. What if she wins? He asked. She will not, I said. But if she does, I will deal with it. I do not think she will. Leon was quiet for a long time. Then he said, Tracy told me she apologized to you. She did, I said. I should have too, he said. At the hardware store. I should have said I was sorry for clapping. You should have, I said. I'm saying it now, he said. I'm sorry, Dad. We messed up. We believed Mom without checking, and that was wrong. I thought about it. Yes, I said. It was. Are you ever going to forgive us? He asked. I thought about watching them clap while their mother humiliated me. I thought about the weeks of silence after. I thought about Tracy's apology over coffee and Leon's call now. I do not know yet, I said, but I appreciate you asking. He hung up a minute later. I made dinner. Thick pork chops, mashed potatoes with real butter, green beans out of a can because I did not feel like chopping fresh ones. My phone buzzed while I was washing dishes. A text from Calvin. Gloria filed emergency motion for temporary support. Hearing next week. You available Tuesday at 2 o'clock? I texted back, I will be there. 1 week until the hearing. 12 weeks since the party. Yolanda was finally starting to understand what she had done, and it was nothing like what she had pictured. The hearing lasted 40 minutes. The courtroom was small and smelled faintly of old wood and floor cleaner. The judge was a woman in her 60s named Judge Robinson, with reading glasses perched low on her nose and absolutely no patience for nonsense. Gloria argued that Yolanda needed temporary support because she had no income and nowhere to live. Calvin stood and calmly showed the judge Yolanda's work history, her health, her ability to work full-time, and the half of the joint checking account she had already received. He pointed out that Yolanda had chosen to leave the marital home and that I had not forced her out. He handed over copies of the deed, bank statements, and the retirement account rollover. Judge Robinson flipped through the papers, lips pressed together. Mrs. Barnes, she said finally, looking over her glasses at Yolanda, you filed for divorce. You served the papers publicly. Is that correct? Yolanda's voice was small. Yes, Your Honor. And you were aware your husband had recently retired? The judge asked. Yes, Yolanda said, but I did not know about the house. The house that has been in his name for 18 years. Judge Robinson asked. The one with public records showing he made every payment. Yolanda did not answer. Gloria shifted in her seat. The judge looked at her. Counselor, Judge Robinson said, your emergency motion for support is denied. Mrs. Barnes is perfectly capable of working full-time. The asset division will proceed according to the existing filings. She closed the folder with a soft thump. We are done here. Outside the courthouse, Yolanda stood on the steps with Gloria, both of them looking deflated. Yolanda clutched her purse strap, staring straight ahead. Gloria spoke quietly to her, one hand moving as if emphasizing points. I walked past without saying anything. Calvin caught up with me in my truck. That went well, he said. It did, I agreed. She will probably try to settle now, he said. Avoid a full trial. Let her try, I said. 2 weeks later, Gloria called Calvin with a settlement offer. Yolanda would take the remainder of the joint checking, her car, and her personal belongings. No claim on the house. No spousal support. No ongoing obligations. Calvin called me. What do you want to do? He asked. I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. I accept, I said. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday. I did not attend. Calvin handled the paperwork, sent me scanned copies with digital signatures and stamp case numbers. That weekend, I was staining the deck when Tracy and Leon pulled into the driveway together. They got out of the car a little hesitantly, like they were not sure if they were welcome. We wanted to see how you were doing, Tracy said. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail, streaked with a few early gray strands that had not been there last year. I am good, I said. The deck needed staining. They looked at each other, then at the cans of stain and the brushes. Do you want help? Leon asked. If you want to grab a brush, I am not going to stop you, I said. We worked side by side for a couple of hours, the sun warm on our backs, the smell of stain strong in the air. We did not talk much at first. There were long stretches where the only sounds were the soft scrape of brushes and the distant hum of a lawn mower on another street. Eventually, Tracy said, Mom moved into a one-bedroom across town. Good for her, I said. Leon added, she got a job at a department store. Full-time. She complains about her feet, but she seems proud. I nodded. That is good, I said. We finished the deck, put the lids back on the cans, and washed our hands under the hose. I made burgers on the grill, and we ate on the back porch, watching the sun drop behind the trees. Mom is still angry, Tracy said quietly after a while. She will get over it, I said. Tracy looked at me. Are we okay? She asked. You and us. Leon watched me carefully, his expression open in a way it had not been at the party. I thought about it. I thought about 3 months of distance and 3 decades of raising them. We're getting there, I said. Their shoulders eased a little at that. They left around 8. I cleaned up the grill, rinsed the plates, and went inside of my house. My paid-off house. Quiet. Clean. Mine. The silence no longer felt heavy. It felt like something else. Space. Room to breathe. I did not hear from Yolanda again. 6 months later, I ran into Felicia at the grocery store. She was back in the produce section, still hunting for the perfect tomato. Rodney, she said, straightening up, I have not seen you in a while. I have been around, I said. How are you? She hesitated, then said, Yolanda is dating someone. Good for her, I said. Felicia nodded. A man who works at the tire shop over on Maple, she said. He seems nice enough. He picked her up from our house a few times. They went to dinner. I think they went to a concert in Detroit once. I picked up a cantaloupe, checked the stem, and put it in my cart. She is doing okay, Felicia said carefully. She complains about money, but she is managing. She says the apartment is small, but she has her cat now. I thought about Yolanda feeding a cat in that one-bedroom apartment, grumbling about rent, planning trips she might or might not ever take. Good, I said. I am glad she is figuring it out. Felicia looked at me. Are you doing okay? She asked. I thought about my quiet house, my savings account, my truck in the driveway. I thought about Tracy and Leon slowly coming back around, helping with the deck, eating burgers on the porch. I thought about my mornings, coffee at 6, breakfast by 7, no alarms except the ones my body had built over 30 years. Yes, I said. I'm doing just fine. And I was. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.